The following podcast is non-profit and is based on the IGCSE history curriculum. Greetings, podcast listeners. I'd like to thank you all for 750 total downloads. I'm honestly amazed at the increase of listeners over the past couple of weeks. I'm really glad that my podcast is of some help to you all, as it is to me. Now today we will be taking a look at the 1980 Solidarity movement in Poland. Now, first, what was the Solidarity movement? Solidarity means unity or togetherness. It was the name used for an independent trade union that emerged in communist-controlled Poland in 1980. Solidarity began when workers in the Lenin shipyard in Gdansk protested against food price rises. Its leader, Lech Wałęsa, presented a list of 21 demands to the government, which included the right to form trade unions, and it grew into a national movement that campaigned for greater freedom, democracy, and better living conditions. By January 1981, it had 9 million members. So, why was Solidarity so successful in Poland? Support for Solidarity from inside Poland. Most Poles were Catholic, so the Catholic Church was very influential in Poland, and they supported the Solidarity movement. Also, many Poles were disillusioned with the poor living standards and lack of freedom, which led to many of them joining the Solidarity movement. Also, the Polish were very proud of their country and history. They resented Soviet influence over their country and saw the Solidarity movement as a way to express Polish nationalism. Finally, the leader of Solidarity, Lech Wałęsa, was very careful in his negotiations with the Polish government, avoiding provoking a dispute that would have led to Soviet intervention. There was also support for Solidarity from outside Poland. This is because a Polish cardinal was appointed as Pope in 1979, and he supported the Solidarity movement and encouraged others to do so as well. The Polish government was reluctant to take action against Solidarity. Poland had greater independence than many countries in Soviet-controlled Eastern Europe. Poles had successfully used strikes and against the government before. Solidarity had significant support amongst workers in key industries. Strikes by workers in these industries would have devastated the Polish economy. The Soviet government were also reluctant to take action against Solidarity. The communist government did not see the Solidarity movement as a great threat, as they believed that it would gradually lose support and break up. Also, Solidarity had significant support in the West. The situation and the Soviet reaction was being closely followed by Western media, which made the USSR more cautious in how it dealt with the movement. Now, this leads to the question, why did the Polish government eventually take action against Solidarity? In February 1981, General Jaruzelski became the leader of Poland. He was a much more hardline leader who was willing to take action against the Solidarity movement. He was willing to take action because 1. Solidarity issued an open letter claiming to be campaigning for the rights of all workers in communist countries in Eastern Europe. This threatened the internal stability of these countries and the Soviet control. 2. Solidarity was beginning to act like a political party. Jaruzelski claimed to have secret tapes of the leadership discussing forming a new government. 3. Strikes organized by Solidarity were plunging the country into chaos. Jaruzelski wanted a return to law and order. 4. He was under increasing pressure from the Soviet leader, Brezhnev, to take action. Brezhnev told him that he had ordered the Soviet army to carry out training maneuvers on the Polish border. It was clear that the Soviets were close to invading, and Jaruzelski feared that this would lead to bloodshed. Jaruzelski pretended to cooperate with Solidarity by negotiating to form a government of national unity with them. When negotiations broke down, he arrested and imprisoned 10,000 members and the leaders of Solidarity. He then introduced martial law, which was ruled by the army. Curfews were imposed, military courts were set up, and censorship increased, while over 90 people were killed. He banned Solidarity and other trade unions. Therefore, only government-controlled trade unions were allowed. Solidarity was very significant in Poland. Despite being crushed and banned, Solidarity was significant in the collapse of Soviet control in Eastern Europe, as it had shown that popular movements with huge support were a threat to communist governments and were capable of achieving their demands. Also, it showed that there was widespread opposition to communism and Soviet control in Eastern European countries. It further showed that communist control of Eastern Europe was reliant on the threat of Soviet force. Therefore, if the USSR refused to intervene, communism in Eastern European countries would most likely collapse. This is the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening.